we welcome you back. John Bachman filling in for Steve Malzberg today during the 7 o'clock hour here on Newsmax TV. A lot going on today, keeping an eye on Nice in Turkey as well. But we also recently sat down with a group of folks we like to call our distinguished panel of Newsmax TV guests, viewers, and of course there are also voters. They all happen to support Donald Trump, but we wanted to gauge what's happened as of late, what happened after Dallas. This all took place before the events in Nice, of course. But how has everything in the last couple of weeks affected their opinion of their chosen candidate? Here's what they had to say. To recap everything that's happened since we met last, here's a refresher on some of the big stories.
Not only am I the law and order candidate, but I'm also the candidate of compassion.
Donald Trump is temperamentally unfit to be president of the United States.
Bernie Sanders cannot stand Hillary Clinton. He hates her.
According to the Donald, isn't he supposed to be some kind of amazing businessman? He doesn't default and go bankrupt as a last resort. He does it over and over again on purpose.
How do you feel like the presidential race is going, Tom?
I think it's going to be quite entertaining. Most Americans this year will be voting not for somebody, but against somebody.
I want to take a quick look at what happened in Dallas. The memorial service featured both President Obama and former President George W. Bush. Here's what they had to say about the attack in Dallas.
Too often we judge other groups by their worst examples, while judging ourselves by our best intentions.
I'm here to insist that we are not as divided as we seem.
Tammy, what do you think the main contributing factor is to that divide?
Our president. I think he's a divisive person.
I don't know a time in my life where I personally have been so upset on a nightly basis about what is going on in this country.
I wanted to welcome in Diamond and Silk to join our diverse cross-section of Donald Trump supporters. Diamond and Silk, thanks so much for joining us again. I know everybody here on the panel is very excited to talk to you. As you know, there are people who believe that, when you look at the Alton Sterling case, you look at the Castile case in Minnesota, they think that there is justification based on what happened in those two cases for what happened in Dallas. There are people out there who actually spread this type of hateful rhetoric. What do you say to those folks?
I think that this is a clear overreaction because some of our officers are afraid of people, and the people are afraid of the officers.
Yes.
So there's trust missing. There's respect missing.
Yeah.
How do we get that back? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to ever get me to believe that officers wake up to gun down black people.
That's right.
That is not true.
Well, I do want to talk about something, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I want to bring it up because of the way it was portrayed in the media, and that was the Star of David issue with Donald Trump.
Political pushback as Donald Trump pushes back against new controversy of his own. His now deleted tweet showing what appears to be a Jewish Star of David on top of $100 bills, an image some found anti-Semitic.
These people are sick, folks.
Trump is not anti-Semitic. He's got a Jewish son-in-law. His daughter has converted to Judaism.
Donald Trump is a counterpuncher, and the media over the last year or so has just continued, along with the Democratic Party, just continued to push the division.
It's been a long road with this Hillary Clinton email scandal. We've heard a lot coming from her and from a lot of others. Let's recap and look back at what happened with Hillary Clinton's private email server.
I did not email any classified material.
The director of the FBI says the Bureau will not recommend charges against Hillary Clinton.
There is evidence that they were extremely careless.
Comey was on the Hill to defend his recommendation not to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
Secretary Clinton said there was nothing marked classified on her emails, either sent or received.
Did Hillary Clinton break the law?
There was classified material emailed.
House Republicans are irate that Clinton will not face any criminal charges over the private server.
We have seen nothing but stonewalling and dishonesty.
These are all lies. We say lie, 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 lie.
And I think there is a legitimate concern that there is a double standard.
John, what was most appalling to you about the way this played out, particularly with Comey's announcement that they were not going to prosecute?
A lot of it had to do with timing. It was just so weird that all these things happened after Bill Clinton just had a chance to run in with Loretta Lynch on a runway in Arizona. If that was me when I served in the Army and I did even 1/8 of any of that, I would be in jail as right now.
He built a case early on in his presentation, and I said, she's going to get, they're going to go after her. I found no logical reason that the FBI would not
file formal charges.
I think something transpired on that tarmac, something not good.
All right, so you can catch the entire presentation of Trump versus Clinton, the voters' perspective. That'll air right here on Newsmax TV Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, when we recorded that, there was a lot of talk about the vice presidential pick. Well, who was Donald Trump going to choose? So we asked them about some of the potential names out there. We asked them about Newt Gingrich, and we asked them about General Michael Flynn, and we also, of course, asked them about Mike Pence. His name was floating around. And I was a little surprised of the response that we got back. And we asked the voters, what did they think about Mike Pence? Take a look. All right, we want to talk about the Veep stakes. At the time of this recording, Donald Trump had not chosen his vice presidential pick yet, but I wanted to get some perspective from the voters here. Mike Pence, Tom,
Don't know him well enough.
I don't know him well enough to comment.
Nobody knows Mike Pence well enough to really comment about him. Anybody want to say anything, Pat?
Sure. I like Mike Pence. He's been a governor, a successful governor. He's had a cabinet. He's balanced the budget. He's from a great state of Indiana, which we need. And I think that he would be ready to step into Trump's shoes should something happen to him.
All right, so that's 7 Trump voters, and we've been touching base throughout the course of the election, the primaries so far. So these folks have been tuned in, but yet they hadn't really heard of Mike Pence, with the exception of Pat and our focus group there. Now also, this kind of echoes what we're hearing, at least in some polls. Take a look at the CBS News poll right here. According to this particular one, 86% of voters say they are not familiar with Mike Pence. Only 5% view him favorably. 8% view him unfavorably. And there's also this issue of conservatives, evangelicals. Was this an olive branch? Is that why Donald Trump made this pick? Well, some folks might think so. Pence and Trump on the ticket might be able to unite the party. That is a big issue here. But here are some key areas where the two have clashed on policy matters in the past. Let's take a look. Both Governor Pence and Donald Trump are viewed as pro-business, but Pence supports many of these free trade policies we've talked so much about, the TPP trade, NAFTA, and some other things. Of course, Donald Trump has talked a lot about those in a negative light through the course of this campaign. They also are at odds when it comes to the Iraq War. And Trump called it a horrible mistake. Mike Pence was a member of Congress. He voted for the Iraq War. He also has come on record saying he opposed the temporary ban on Muslim immigration. And don't forget, before the Indiana primary, it was Mike Pence who endorsed Ted Cruz. He endorsed Ted Cruz and then also said he would do whatever it took to help out Donald Trump. So, there's rumors out there saying that Donald Trump last night was perhaps trying to get out of his vice presidential pick. For his part, Pence says he is honored. Mixed results so far, I guess, on the rollout of the Pence pick. It's hard to tell. They're obviously dealing with some things they cannot control. That is the terror attack in Nice, which casts a shadow on the vice presidential pick. But it's going to be Trump's and Pence's turn next week in Cleveland to really sell this ticket. Is this going to be enough to energize the voters? Now, if you look at this, this might be the best possible pick for Trump in terms of what's it going to take to go against Hillary Clinton. A generic kind of conservative Republican, even though voters might not necessarily know him, when they hear discussion of Mike Pence, they'll hear about his conservative background, which is very conservative, in fact, indeed, his conservative voting record. And that might be enough for these folks. We already know that Donald Trump locked up a lot of support with evangelical voters. He seems to have that pretty much wrapped up. However, when it comes to the quote-unquote conservative voters, there was a lot of talk amongst some of these arch-conservatives in the Never Trump movement that Trump was not a true conservative. Mike Pence has worn that label in the past. Now, will that help Trump? We don't know. Of course, this is very important leading up to the convention. Pence's speech will be very important at the convention as well, and also on the debate stage. How much it will sway voters, well, that's all over the map. Don't forget, too, we talked about the difference in opinions. George H.W. Bush and Ronald Reagan had a lot of differing opinions, too, in the primaries as well. So make sure you stay tuned. We got plenty more to come here on Newsmax TV. Prime with J.D. Hayworth is coming up next. He'll talk after the recent terror attacks. Is Cleveland really safe? And Ronald Kessler, who wrote much about the Secret Service, will join J.D. live at 8 p.m. Of course, for more on these stories, you can check out our website, Newsmax.com. All the news will be there. We'll keep updating you on Turkey, Nice, and the Mike Pence pick for Donald Trump's vice presidential pick. I'm John Bachman, sitting in for Steve Malzberg. Have a great weekend and stay safe out there.